Hi, it's Bethany, and this is Disability Talk, a show all about disability from disabled people, telling you all the fun things you need to know about disability so you don't have to ask people like us. Today, we have the fabulous Rosie McDonnell. Say it again. Oh,
Horita.
Horita. I've done this with every interview, so thank you. Um, a wonderful disability justice activist, and just welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. So we're going to start out with just doing pronouns and then audio describing our background, and then we'll get into the questions.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So my name is Rosie. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm wearing a yellow floral blouse with long brown wavy hair. Behind me is not a whole lot of art, but a plain white wall with a Frida tapestry and a single sunflower in a vase.
Very nice. Nice attention to detail. So behind me on the lower shelf, I have a Libra symbol because the two of us are Libras. I also have an artichoke sculpture, which is for Ed Roberts, who he compared himself to an artichoke because Rosie works in a center for independent living. Above, I have a sign on the second shelf that says, "A riot is the language of the unheard." Next to that is an amethyst stone. Behind me, I have a number of necklaces hanging, as well as a condom bag. The condom bag, along with the Hitachi earrings that I'm wearing, are really to speak to my passion for sexual health, sexual justice. I'm wearing an obscene amount of color on my eyeballs and cat eye liner, mostly inspired by Rosie, and a very colorful pink dress with weird eyeballs on them. So, yes, let's get into the three questions. So I'm excited. The first one is really just about you. What is your passion? How does it relate to disability?
I was reading through these and I was having a really hard time figuring out how to succinctly answer the question. I have many passions, but I think a lot of it boils down to the idea of like justice rooted in love. And so because I identify as disabled, a lot of that work looks like disability justice. But even thinking about disability, knowing that it intersects with all other identities. And so even through doing disability justice work, I also think about folks experiencing homelessness and the LGBTQ community and BIPOC individuals, especially in very white disabled spaces.
Yes.
So even within the disability justice lens, bringing in other communities and making sure that they're thinking about us and that we're acknowledging and thinking about them and uplifting their voices. I know that the way that I love people and share love is through cooking, and that's another passion that I have. Whenever we are outside of COVID times, traveling is something I also really love to do. And that's because I have pockets of people that I love in so many different areas. And so most of that is going to spend time and love on people in person, but also eating my way through different places and countries. And that's like the things that kind of sum me up in answering that question.
Yeah, I love it. And I really love your idea that love is central to disability justice because, we have this great primer telling us the principles, and now we have a new book to tell us how to practice it. But one of those things is just doing love, like Cornel West saying that justice looks like love in public or vice versa. But it's just, I love recommitting to love every day. And I'm working on a Corona project right now about protesting against eugenics around Corona, medical apartheid and such. And I keep writing Love is Resistance because I think that loving disability is really important, not just thinking that we matter, but loving.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Stacey Park Milburn talked about like the ways that she was able to love herself by loving her community and vice versa. And I know that the work that I do in finding acceptance and love for other people in our community has then helped me actually completely and deeply love myself, which I haven't done before, and I'm still working on it. And that is like one of the hardest things I think to do.
It's so deep.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Internalized ableism is a whole thing, and I will do a short video explaining what that word means. But this is great. A great connection to the second question is, how does interacting with disability and or neurodivergent communities give you joy or pleasure? I'm really into pleasure activism. We've talked about this before. And you're into her other book, Emergent Strategy. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what, aside from what you're speaking about with Stacey Milburn's quote, tell me, I mean, you're so a part of the movement, which is why it's so exciting to have you here. So I'm sure you have several ideas, and you're in Nickel right now.
Yeah, I do a lot of different things. I wear a lot of different hats. I think as a young person, I always intentionally try to other myself and be like, I'm not like them. I'm not that disabled. And my mom is a special ed teacher, and so I grew up around people with disabilities, and I spent a lot of times like in community, but I didn't see it as community. I was like forced into those spaces. It wasn't until I went to the Youth Leadership Forum at the age of 16 in California when I got off the bus and I was sitting in the large group room, and everyone, including the staff, were disabled in some way. And I was like, wow, this is my first time being in a room with other disabled folks. And then after processing that night, I realized that that wasn't true. It was just the first time that I had seen myself as a part of a bigger community.
Yes.
And I wasn't like, I didn't feel like I had to explain myself or justify myself, and I could be exactly who I am. And just seeing other people doing really dope ass shit in the community and being like, I want to do that. I want to be like that. And having examples to look up to and having representation, I think, is super important in any community, right? But especially within disability, seeing other folks, like other badass women who are killing it and not like unapologetically and doing exactly what they want, has been a game changer. And so now that I've come to a place where I accept my disability identity and I'm proud of it and I talk about it all the time, I think is the part where I can let some of the joy and the pleasure in, because I wasn't like fighting it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can enjoy like even just watching Crip Camp the film. And my favorite parts of the film were like the jabs or like the jokes within disability community of like us playing at each other, and
For
you
sure.
like, I don't have to apologize for these things, and like I can joke about it because I'm also like, I see you, and we can have these jokes, or we can have something that is uniquely ours. And being able to emphasize and like bring those out. I know like even in conversation with some of my able-bodied friends who are new to the disability world, and I'm introducing them just through like living and existing, also seeing their like aha moments or them going on rants on Twitter without having to like bring me into the conversation. And I just have to sit back and like watch and see it all unfold. And that's how I know that the work is is actually doing something,
Yes.
that I think brings a lot of pleasure.
That is delicious. Thank you for sharing your pleasure. And you
Yeah.
have years of it. And I am moderately jelly that you were part of the Youth Leadership Network. And I wanted to be part of the National Youth Leadership Network. But Kara Ayers, a fellow person with osteogenesis imperfecta, like we have, she was a representative for the Southeast for Florida. And so I was literally competing with a fellow OI. And it was like she was already in and I was nobody. So I wish I would have started younger, because I think I would have maybe curbed some of those years of internalized ableism and like swept it up a little sooner.
Yeah. I mean, OI is pretty rare. But all of the OIers that I know are badass. And so I think we are most of the time competing against ourselves because we are slowly taking over the world. So watch out.
Yes! OI supremacy. I'm in for that. Not really. I mean, I
No.
believe in equality, which brings us to our final question is, what do you hope for in our disability justice future? This is particularly necessary in this pandemic moment, pandemic revolution moment, where I think a lot of people are feeling uncertain and scared. And so I'm envisioning my future because it keeps me alive. And I'm curious what you see.
Yeah. I mean, even thinking about like the ways that Adrienne Marie Brown talks about future dreaming and how that is righteous and amazing in itself, and the fact that we have permission to dream in the future. I know right now, especially in pandemic and people just now coming to and realizing that racism is a thing, that I hope and I dream about different ways, like the different lanes and the different ways that advocacy manifests, and knowing that it doesn't always look like putting your body on the line, or being on the front lines, and highlighting and lifting that up. Because Adrienne Marie Brown in Emergent Strategy talks about the detriment of having these like charismatic leaders, and how that isn't actually pushing a movement forward in the way that we need to, because when they die, so does the work, unless they're bringing in other people and unless they're passing the torch. And knowing that it is an ongoing marathon and a relay race, that it's not just going to be one person taking us to the finish line, because God knows where that is or when it is.
Yes, I feel that.
I know that I don't feel like my role is putting my body on the line on the front lines. Because as someone with OI, as a woman, as for a lot of different reasons, I don't feel like that is like where my work is best served. I do it by checking in and supporting other people who are on the front lines. I do it by checking in and making sure that the babies at the rallies are safe. I do it by cooking and making signs and creating resource guides online and making sure that they're accessible, instead of just putting shit out there that's not accessible. So really thinking about not just like pushing disability forward, but even in Black Lives Matter, like having Black disabled lives matter and making movements more accessible. And so if I wanted to go to an abolish ICE action, knowing that the end of the march isn't going to like take me to a sidewalk that I can't access, or that it's going to go into a place that is not safe for disabled folks, or that there will be ASL interpreters. And so thinking about the things that we're already doing, but amplifying that and doing the work to make sure that more people can show up, because that's exactly what we need right now.
I love it. I love that the future is going to be accessible to, this idea of the expansive notion of access beyond just disability, to think about houseless folks. And I mean, just thinking about transportation, like buses were cut here with the pandemic. That's changed radically the lives of people that are non-disabled now, anyway, temporarily. So yeah, your dream is beautiful. I'm curious if you would like to plug any projects or how people can get a hold of you if you want them to, because I just tracked you down because you were just so adorable.
I am on social medias.
Sorry?
I'm on all the things. I'm on social media. I have lots of different projects going on. I'm also working for the Crip Camp Impact Campaign team, and we're doing amazing work. And I think it's work that only BIPOC, queer, disabled people could do. I don't think that it could have been done and organized in the way that we're doing it by anybody else. And so, shameless plug to hire BIPOC, disabled, queer people to do your projects and pay us.
Girl.
And yeah.
Yes to payment, and yes to listening to that central principle of disability, of centering people of color, BIPOC people. Yes, we need to stop this white man with a spinal cord injury as our only voice of disability. Yes.
Agreed. So much. And if you want to see how it's done and how we're doing it and how we're also messing up and learning, tune in every Sunday, because we're doing it for
soul food.
7 more weeks.
It's go to cripcamp.com to register for the virtual event, and they are recorded. It is absolute soul food that I get through the pandemic with, so I encourage you to check it out. Thank you so much, Rosie.
Thank you.
You are a doll, and I can't wait until after the pandemic so I can come see Atlantis, because it's a historic site in our movement, and I need to see it in Denver.
And we're opening a museum. So it will be so our new building will have our office. It has mixed income, low income housing, accessible housing, and we have a disability history museum. So if anybody wants a reason to come to Denver, I just gave you 3.
Wow. And then are you in that list?
I will be the 4th. I will be the 4th on that list.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.